Hello, friends! Have you ever heard the song Little Arabella Miller? It's a nursery rhyme about a little girl named Arabella Miller. She has a fuzzy caterpillar, and the two of them can't seem to stay out of trouble. This was one of my favorite songs when I was a little kid, so I'm excited to share it with you today. But before we learn this fun new song, I want to tell you a little bit more about the types of fuzzy caterpillars you can find in your very own backyard. Specifically, I'm going to tell you about the woolly bear caterpillar. This is the type of caterpillar you can find across the northeastern United States and southern Canada. After we learn a little bit more about this caterpillar and its life cycle, then I'm going to show you how you can make your very own cute and cuddly yarn version of this special little critter. And once we're done that, we're going to learn the Little Arabella Miller song. All right, without further ado, let's get started.
This is a woolly bear caterpillar. A woolly bear caterpillar is the larval stage of the Arabella tiger moth. For the woolly bear caterpillar to become a moth, it has to undergo a process known as metamorphosis. Metamorphosis describes the 4 stages of development in the life cycle of many insects. Insects start as eggs. Then they go through a larval stage. Then they go through a pupa stage. And finally, they finish their life as adults. But what do these stages of life look like for our woolly bear friends and other moths and butterflies? Well, for this order of insects, also known as Lepidoptera, you'll recognize the 4 distinct stages as such. First, adult butterflies and moths will lay clusters of very tiny eggs. When these eggs hatch, caterpillars emerge. Caterpillars are the larval stage. They come in all shapes and colors, and woolly bears are just one of them. When a caterpillar is ready, it spins either a chrysalis or a cocoon to begin its pupal stage. A chrysalis is created by butterfly species, and a cocoon is created by moth species. Eventually, the pupa of the chrysalis or cocoon transforms to become a butterfly or a moth. Eventually, these butterflies and moths will lay eggs of their own, and the life cycle will start all over again. For the Arabella tiger moth, metamorphosis looks like this. These insects start out their life as little whitish-yellow eggs laid by a mother moth. Once they hatch, they become woolly bear caterpillars. These caterpillars are known for a big rusty red band around their midsection and their black front and ends. When the caterpillar is ready, it creates a cocoon out of the same very hairs that's covering its body. It emerges from the cocoon as a moth. These moths have goldish yellow coloration and some spots. Woolly bear caterpillars hatch from their eggs in the fall. Then they are able to survive winter, freezing almost completely solid. Their heart even stops beating, but they create an antifreeze to survive the winter so they can thaw out in the spring to create their cocoons. Most tiger moths emerge from their cocoons in late spring and early summer. Then they need to quickly find a mate and lay their eggs. The woolly bear's middle orangey-red stripe can come in a variety of thicknesses. Some people used to believe that the thinner the middle stripe, the harsher the upcoming winter would be. There's currently no conclusive research to back up the idea that woolly bear bands are accurate predictors of future weather. However, scientists think they may be measuring something else, such as the moisture in the environment or the winter that the woolly bear thawed out of. Whatever the case, it sure is fun to notice all their unique differences. Now that we know a little bit more about woolly bears, let's get ready to make our own! here are my supplies to make my own woolly bear. I have my orange and brown yarn, and here are my two woolly bears. The bigger one uses a template that has a thicker length between the inner and outer circumference. I'm going to be using the smaller one for this demo. I also need some scissors for this project, and fishing line or thread, as well as a needle. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the smaller of my two woolly bears. This guy is around 6 to 7 inches in length. To make him, I'll need a paperboard template cut out twice. I already have one of my templates cut out, so I'm going to trace it to get my second one. To do this, I'm just using some scrap paperboard from an old cereal box. We will include a handout to a version of this template linked below, but if you don't have access to a printer, you can basically just draw a rough block letter C shape. The main thing is that you'll want an outer oval and an inner oval with a small piece cut out so that you'll be able to loop your yarn around. Once I have my matching templates cut out, I'm ready to start making the body of my woolly bear. Our woolly bear is basically made of 4 of these pom-poms. We'll make 2 brown ones and 2 orange ones. To make our pom-poms, we're going to need the help of our paperboard templates that we just cut out. Before I get started, I'm going to move my pom-poms out of the way because I'm going to need some room to do this. Then I'm going to line up my paperboard templates so they're stacked on top of each other and get my brown yarn. I'll take the end of my yarn and I'm basically going to start looping around both my templates. This can be a little bit tricky, so just go slowly. I'm going to start at one end and I'm going to start wrapping around a thick layer of yarn over every part of my C-shaped template. Once I get to the end, I'm going to go back in the other direction and try to cover up any spots that seem a bit sparse. Once I have a thick, consistent wrapping, I'll cut the yarn at the end. Then you'll want to separate the 2 templates by prying them apart with your fingers. You'll take your scissors and using them as a guide, you'll cut through the loops of the yarn where the 2 templates meet each other. This can be a bit tricky as you don't want the yarn to fall out and you also don't want to cut in the wrong place. So make sure you're paying attention and if needed, ask an adult for help. Once you've cut through all of your loops, then making sure everything's being held in place, you'll tie it all together through the middle with a separate piece of yarn. To do this, you'll want to lay your palm on its side, and then cutting a piece of yarn of the same color, you'll take the piece and slot it in between your 2 templates. With even sides on both ends, knot it at the bottom of your template where it opens up. Make sure you tie a snug knot so that your pieces of yarn stay together. Once your palm is secured with the knot, then you can slide the 2 templates right off the palm. Once you've made 2 brown pom-poms and 2 orange pom-poms, you're ready to assemble your final woolly bear. To complete your woolly bear, you'll need to attach your pom-poms together. First, flip them over so their knotted side is facing up. Make sure you left enough yarn from your knot that you'll be able to tie each pom-pom together. Starting from one end, you'll tie a brown pom-pom to an orange pom-pom. You'll repeat this process by tying your middle orange pom-poms together, and then the last brown pom-pom to the rest of the pom-poms. Once your pom-poms are tied together on the back, you can trim the ends of your knots so that they blend in with the rest of the woolly bear. Now we flip our woolly bear over and secure it on the top side. For this part, we'll need our fishing line or thread and some needles. Fishing line can be useful to use because it's less visible, but for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to use thread so it'll be hopefully easier to see what I'm doing. First, cut a segment of thread, it doesn't have to be very long, and thread it through a needle. Once it's threaded, I'm going to pull my needle through the knotted loop that's going around the midsection of my pom. I'll pull it through the first brown pom and then the second orange pom. Once I pull it through, I'm going to pull the thread and then I'm going to tie the end sections of my thread together. This will secure the top side of my woolly bear so that the sections don't flop around too much. Then I'll trim my thread and I'll try to zhuzh up the rest of the yarn around these poms so that it sort of covers the black thread that I've intersected it with. We don't really want this to be visible because it sort of ruins the illusion of our woolly bear. So make sure you fluff it together. Now I'm going to repeat this with the other segments of my woolly bear so that it's all connected and ready to play with. Once I'm done threading together the top section of my woolly bear, I'm just going to give him some final touches. I'm pulling all the yarn out and making sure it's nice and fluffy and uniform. And then I'm even going to take my scissors and give this little guy a bit of a haircut just so nothing looks too out of place. And voila! My fuzzy little guy is ready to make his big debut. This one is a little bit bigger than the original version I made, I think because I looped more yarn this time. So lots of different versions are possible. Definitely try them out.
Okay, so now that we have our very own woolly bear caterpillars, we're ready to sing Little Arabella Miller. This song has the same melody to Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, so it should be fairly easy to follow along. We're also going to have the lyrics posted, and I'm going to show you some different choreography that you can do to illustrate the actions in this song. So, without further ado, here's my version of Little Arabella Miller. Little Arabella Miller had a fuzzy caterpillar. First she put it on her mother, then upon her baby brother. All said, Arabella Miller, take away that caterpillar. Alright, so that's my version of Little Arabella Miller. I hope you had fun learning this new song and learning a little bit more about woolly bear caterpillars and Isabella tiger moths. For future reference, you shouldn't pick up any caterpillars that you don't know or aren't familiar with. Sometimes they're spiky and pointy, so always make sure when you're looking at critters or you want to pick them up, you have an adult who knows what they're talking about with you. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope everyone's doing well out there, and I'll see you next time for more Music Through Art videos.